1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. I apologize. All these audio issues. Apparently, with this truck, there's a with the Siri audio connectivity is an issue with this program we're using to stream live, and when it runs low on battery, I got to plug it in, and when it plugs into the truck, it interferes with the audio, and I can't figure it out. I just don't understand it. I'll have to work on this in between this and the next hurricane, but hopefully you're hearing me okay. So there's our current radar position of Hurricane Ida, currently over Matthews and Lockport. They are right in the eye of Hurricane Ida. Homa is to the left. That's where our remote cam is. Let me pull that up. If it's even there anymore. Still hanging on for dear life. The pole is tilted even more now. Oh, wow. I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. So obviously the pole is, what's happening, you see how that roof is, turn the volume down. See how that roof is kind of, the roof keeps coming into the picture. That's the roof of the mobile home that it's aiming at, and the pole is banging around in the wind. The pole is just basically leaning back. And audio issues. So basically the pole is swinging back and forth in the wind, and the camera is aiming at the sky is basically what you're seeing. And that little square in front of the screen was where the instrument reading thing was, and that got blown off. So this thing is really taking a beating. It'll be interesting to see what I come back to. I don't know. This is crazy. You can see debris blowing by too. There's pieces of stuff flying by. It'll be the last time I mount it on a wooden pole. That'll be for sure. All right, we just had a gust of 70 here. Just had a gust of 70 right in front of me here in Morgan City. All right, trying to figure out why we're, I mean, that's amazing. So look at this radar. And there's my position right there. And I just got a gust of 70. So you can only imagine what's going on under the yellow and the orange right now. It's not even close. Again, our remote camera is, where is Homer? Right there. So there's where the remote camera is right there. It never got in the eye, but it sure got beat up though on that western eye wall. And again, I hope you guys are hearing me. I don't know. This audio has been on and off all day. I have no idea. It says it's using the built-in microphone, so we're good. We're going to get this audio issue worked out one way or the other. And I should have never brought the wireless mic. That was a huge mistake. That's done permanently out of the project. So, we just had a gust of 70 here. But it's overall minor damage. The power is still on here. That's not where the circle drawing is, by the way. I'm over here. And, power is still on. There's a little bit of damage here and there. In fact, here's my camera shot outside. Watching these things bouncing around inside this building here, but overall minor damage. I think Morgan City really dodged a bullet here. It's possible we might get our strongest winds here when the eye is passing by to the north and winds shift out of the west and southwest. Yeah, you can see the audio is having problems on that camera. I can tell you this, that camera has had better days. That's for sure. That thing is getting beat all to hell. You guys hear me? Yes.
Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall. Highs in the lower 80s. Southwest winds 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts to around 40 miles per hour, decreasing to 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to around 30 miles per hour in the afternoon.
Just trying to get a local weather roundup here and see what winds are around here.
Monday night, showers and thunderstorms. Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall. Lows in the mid-70s. Southwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of precipitation 90%. Tuesday, partly cloudy. Chance of showers and thunderstorms in the morning, then showers and thunderstorms likely in the afternoon. Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall. Highs in the upper 80s. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of precipitation 70%. Tuesday night, partly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall. Lows in the mid-70s. Southwest winds 5 miles per hour. Wednesday, partly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms likely. Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall. Highs around 90. Chance of precipitation 70%. Wednesday night, mostly clear. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening, then chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Some thunderstorms may produce heavy rainfall in the evening. Lows in the lower 70s. Chance of precipitation 30%. Thursday, sunny with a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Highs in the upper 80s. Thursday night, mostly clear with a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Lows around 70. Friday, sunny. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the morning, then chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Highs around 90. Chance of precipitation 40%. A storm surge warning remains in effect and a hurricane warning remains in effect for the following parishes in Louisiana: Ascension, Assumption, Eastern Orleans, Livingston, Lower Jefferson, Lower Lafourche, Lower Plaquemines, Lower St. Bernard, Lower Terrebonne, Northwest St. Tammany, Southeast St. Tammany, Southern Tangipahoa, St. Charles, St. James, St. John the Baptist, Upper Jefferson, Upper Lafourche, Upper Plaquemines, Upper St. Bernard, and Upper Terrebonne. Here is the tropical weather outlook. For the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, the National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on Hurricane Ida, which has made landfall on the coast of southeastern Louisiana, on Tropical Depression 10, located over the central tropical Atlantic, and on recently upgraded Tropical Storm Julian, located over the central subtropical Atlantic. A broad area of low pressure located just east of the Delmarva Peninsula is producing a few disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Upper-level winds are expected to increase over the low on Monday and Tuesday, and any development of this system is expected to be slow to occur while it moves slowly southeastward and then eastward, away from the east coast of the United States. Formation chance through 48 hours, low, 10%. Formation chance through 5 days, low, 10%. A tropical wave is expected to emerge off the west coast of Africa by Monday night. Environmental conditions appear conducive for the development of a low-pressure area once the wave moves offshore, and a tropical depression is likely to form by the middle or latter part of the week while the system moves west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour over the eastern tropical Atlantic. Formation chance through 48 hours, low, 30%. Formation chance through 5 days, high, 80%. Flash flood watch remains in effect through Tuesday morning. The flash flood watch continues for portions of southeast Louisiana and Mississippi, including the following areas and parishes in southeast Louisiana: Ascension, Assumption, East Baton Rouge, East Feliciana, Eastern Orleans, Iberville, Livingston, Lower Jefferson, Lower Lafourche, Lower Plaquemines, Lower St. Bernard, Lower Terrebonne, Northern Tangipahoa, Northwest St. Tammany, Grand Coupe, Southeast St. Tammany, Southern Tangipahoa, St. Charles, St. Helena, St. James, St. John the Baptist, Upper Jefferson, St. Bernard, Upper Terrebonne, Washington, West Baton Rouge, West Feliciana, and Western Orleans. In Mississippi, Amite, Hancock, Harrison, Jackson, Pearl River, Pike, Waffle, and Wilkinson. Through Tuesday morning, excessive rainfall associated with Hurricane Ida will cause flash flooding for most areas. Portions of southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi could receive 8 to 16 additional inches of rain with isolated amounts up to 20 inches. You should monitor later forecasts and be prepared to take action should flash flood warnings be issued. The National Weather Service has issued Tornado Watch number 472, effective until 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This watch includes the following parish: Tangipahoa, Louisiana, and Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Maurepas. Remember, a tornado watch means the conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds in and close to the watch area. While severe weather may not be imminent, persons should remain alert for rapidly changing weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. Stay tuned to NOAA weather radio, commercial radio and television outlets, or internet sources for the latest severe weather information. A hurricane hurricane warning remains in effect for the following parishes in Louisiana: East Baton Rouge, East Feliciana, Northern Tangipahoa, Lake Coupee, St. Helena, Washington, West Baton Rouge, West Feliciana, and
Right.
Hello. 7-1.
Be advised the traffic light pole on 182 at the Highway 90 on ramp is bent sideways.
Okay. One.
So getting some decent gusts here, you know, just had a gust of 70 a little while ago, considering we're not even in the donut. We're not even in the like I said, you gotta only imagine what's happening inside the yellow and the orange. The camera is located right here. And it got wiped out, pretty much. The pole that it was attached to fell over. It was dangling in the wind. So it's all messed up. I don't know what I'm going to find when I get back there. But right now, the eye is over Matthews, Louisiana. And these areas, Des Allemands, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it, Des Allemands and Bayou Gauche. Bayou Gosh, I don't know. Those are getting annihilated right now. Those two towns are just absolutely getting hammered by the full force of what Hurricane Ida has to offer right now, which is 130 mile per hour winds.
Sounds good, sounds good.
Statement update, 5 p.m. Ida passing just east of Houma, Louisiana. Catastrophic storm surge. Extreme winds and flash flooding continues in portions of southeastern Louisiana. A Florida Coastal Monitoring Program observing station at the South Lafourche, I'm probably butchering that name, I know I am, airport recently reported sustained wind at 93 and a gust of 122 miles per hour. Amazing. A weather flow site near Dulac reported a sustained wind of 91 miles per hour with a wind gust of 116 within the last hour. Dulac, wonder where that is. Also within the last hour, a weather flow site near Jefferson Parish reported a sustained wind of 48 with a gust of 82 miles per hour. New Orleans Lakefront Airport reported a sustained wind of 58 miles per hour with a wind gust of 83. Wow, there's going to be some significant damage out there. 5 miles east of Houma, Houma, Louisiana. And the eye did not get over the camera, amazingly. 40 miles southwest of New Orleans. Maximum sustained winds 130. Still having it northwest of 10. I don't know if I really buy that. Pressure 938 millibars. Wow. Let's take a look at the satellite. Monitoring scanner frequencies, which probably goes to all the way to, I don't know if it's reaching New Orleans, but it's generally this whole area around here. And there is our blown up enhanced satellite image of Hurricane Ida. What a beautiful looking hurricane, if there ever was one. There's been plenty of them. This is going to be really, really bad for New Orleans.
Cool. Wait, you got time to take on? So I'm on 3626 5th Street. Audible burglar alarm activated on construction. Is that going to be users? Okay, well, I'm going to check on it and give them a call.
It's like Raceland is getting in the eye. It's amazing. You can hear the wind out here hitting this building, and it makes this eerie, like howling, like an organ noise almost. All right, let me drive around a little bit.
Dispatch engine on Cabrillo Route, Joseph Street, for a roof that blew off the trailer. Engine 9 and out to Joseph Street, for a roof that blew off the trailer. What was the exact what was going on with Hubbard? Like, I know he's on the Woodland Sea.
Everything looks okay here in Morgan City. Very minor damage. So we've only had a gust of 70. Most of it's been around 40 miles per hour. We stayed outside of the main CDO of the hurricane. Heading south in Morgan City right now, just trying to scope out, see if there's any.
You coming in real staticky, sir? 1363 Joseph Street, 1363 Joseph Street.
I'm just gonna turn around. It's a waste of gas.
Free amount.
Nothing to see here.
We'll try to get him in a second.
Look how fast those clouds are moving. My God.
People, man, can one of y'all go walk, have Mike go walk in Public Water's office to find out about a key for the civic center in case we have to get that subject there? What is on 97 on 5? Oh. Top of power line.
Not on scene. Trailer roof on top of power line.
Yeah, there's really virtually no damage around here. The power is still on in a lot of places. Good for me for my hotel stay tonight. Got power. But I don't think that's going to be the case in Homa. Actually, I'm just going to turn around so I don't waste any more gas here. And I lost the TV at the hotel. That doesn't work now, so I can't show you anything. Any local news, I would be happy to pass that along to you. So I'm basically in a blackout right now. And I'm outside of the core of where the hurricane hit. So, not much I can do to pass along information, folks. I apologize for all this, but it was a swing and a miss. Sometimes you just gotta count your chips and
On scene.
keep the weather instruments on the truck for now, just to see if I can still measure anything coming off out of the northeast here. Or the winds will be shifting out, actually out of the west.
the subject's refusing to leave, that he's ringing out in the house. His oxygen is for his blood, not for his breathing, and he is fine.
So,
Very lucky. What are we doing about audio again? Keeps asking me to allow audio. I don't understand this. But it's been working, so I'm not going to mess with it. New Orleans is absolutely going to get hammered here in the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That big, strong band coming in here. I mean, look at that. That's got to be winds gusting probably 90 miles per hour. So the plan for tomorrow is I'm going to... Whoa, slow down, man. Guy almost hit me. Well, that's strange. Never had that happen before with the radio. Seems like nothing's gone right on this trip. Okay, the radio's all right now. I was going to say, tomorrow what I'm going to do is get up early, try to head into Homa, get a view of the damage, and pick up the camera, of course. If I can't get in there, there's too much damage to even get in there, then I might have to stay the night again and go get it the next day. Plan is to get the camera and get out of Dodge. The question is, am I going to be able to get through to New Orleans, which is probably going to be a disaster? Or would I be better off going back west? And I'm thinking the answer is go back west. Head up to I-10 and try to make it across. I don't know, who knows how that's going to work out. Because I-10, how you see it on the map here, I-10 is running right along here. So, depending on how strong this hurricane is, by the time it gets up and crosses I-10, it's depending on how many trees are going to be toppled down, and that may prevent me from getting back as well. So, that's the situation. But New Orleans right now, wow. See if there's any CB action here.
Hey, what? It's man 43.
No.
1363 Joseph Street. Got a call from 911. There's a roof on a power line.
Roof on a power line.
Ferry 11 is the command. I'll be directed that from Lake Fluor.
Well, the camera's still hanging on.
EOC. We'll be in our shoulder. We'll get the brief real quick and then have that. We'll go to EOC's out there now. We'll be 5 public call scene. We'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, that pole had to have tilted, leaned way back, because that's a mobile home there. It's only about 10 foot high mobile home, and it's probably laying on its side, maybe. Probably very close to the ground. I would say no more than a couple of feet off the ground, and that camera is just hanging on. See, I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place on the coverage here, because if I'm doing it back at home in the office, I can provide a lot more information on data, news, information. I'm very limited here with providing audio and information because, well, let me see if I can pull something up here. Let me get the dash cam. All right, here's WWL. Again, my bandwidth is kind of limited here, so. See, my bandwidth is so limited here. It's
back over here, and we're going to look at radar once again, because it does look like that maybe the eye is starting to kind of close in a little bit. This is something that Alexander Cranford had mentioned as we're kind of measuring the distance of the eye, that it does look like it's contracting a little bit. And so if this was over the open water, it might mean that it was intensifying. But now that it is over land, that is certainly a good sign that it does look like it is weakening. And as we've mentioned, in terms of the impacts, it does look to be a little bit greater now for Metro New Orleans, as well as where we saw Doug up in Tangier Hole Parish, because it does look like it is moving more almost due north. So for folks in Baton Rouge, it does look like it is going to stay to your east, and you will remain in Baton Rouge on the drier side. Again, this little wobble one way or another, even by just what seems to be a very minor 20-30 miles, can be huge in the eventual impacts. As we had been saying for several days, the impacts for the coast were not really going to change. We're going to be catastrophic, and I can only imagine what it's going to look like once this is all done. Okay, we're going back to Paul. Okay.
Yes, Chris.
Yes.
We're going to pause you for 1 second because we have an update on that ferry situation.
Yes.
Obviously, anytime any boats break loose on the river, it's an issue, especially during a hurricane. So Paul got some new information that he's going to share with us about it.
Katie, your sources are impeccable. Yes, there were 2 ferry boats that got loose around the same time, around 1:30 this afternoon. One was RTA 2, which is the RTA's passenger ferry, which takes passengers between Canal Street and Algiers Point. And then the other boat that got loose was the Chalmette Ferry. That is a boat that carries both pedestrians and vehicles across the river from Algiers to Chalmette. So 2 boats got loose. The Chalmette Ferry was secured not too far from actually the other boat. They both made it upriver to about Araby, almost the parish line. And the Chalmette Ferry has been secured. And I believe at last report, RTA-2, the passenger ferry, was in the process of being secured. So they didn't get far. But what was interesting, both of these boats, you would think the river, it goes towards the Gulf of Mexico, but both of these boats ended up drifting upriver because of the wind, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. But Katie Moore, I just want to tell you, your sources are impeccable. Yes, 2 ferries did get loose, both now under control.
Well, I am so grateful that we were able to confirm that, Paul. Thank you, and that they are both secured. Always, the question is one of those boats going to hit a levee or a flood wall if it is loose in the river and bumping around? So that's very good news tonight, and thank you for that update, Paul.
Well, that could be terrifying. I'm glad that seems to be under control now. We're taking a look at radar, and again, just kind of looking at the trend. I'm not as much into the forecasted track in the near future, only because we're really going to have to more or less watch where the center of the storm continues to track. And again, the way it has looked, it does appear as though it is going to be moving more due north, which does put more of the New Orleans metro area underneath the potential of some of the strongest winds. Now, something I should have really pointed out, and I'm going to get to that graphic in just a second, with regards to estimating the wind totals and the wind speeds. It's something I really should have pointed out with that. We'll get to that in just a second. But again, the intensity of the storms is still very much healthy. However, as I've said, it does look like the center of the storm, the core, the eye, is beginning to fill in and shrink. So this is all a good sign that the storm is in fact weakening. In the near future, I really think the storm is moving a little bit more even east of this line from the National Hurricane Center. So I do think it's a little bit more on the eastern side of their margin of error as it continues up to the north. So it does appear as though right now Baton Rouge may be spared the worst. Now they're going to get some strong winds as they are on the western side, but they're also going to be on the drier side, so the rainfall totals there are not going to be nearly as extensive as what most of southeast Louisiana will see. In terms of the heaviest of the rain, that's what we have moving over the city right now. As a matter of fact, a few of us just walked and stepped outside on North Rampart just to watch the water coming in, and it is still an intense rain, but it is such wind driven that it's almost hard to get an idea of those rainfall rates, because it's not just falling straight down, as we've heard from so many of our reporters. It is coming at them sideways, which is why we're starting to get rain and water into some of the parts of the building here, because as that wind-driven rain, it, believe me, finds a way to get in. And something I wanted to also point out with the motion of the storm, as it does continue moving north, for folks on the North Shore, we try and point out each and every area of our viewing area, and it is kind of extensive and very diverse, especially with regards to the impact from the storm. With a more northerly track, as we heard from Doug Mouton, it does look like more of Tangible Hope Parish would see some of those strong winds. Now, with regards to those winds, something I really should have pointed out, the radar in Slidell is sending a beam straight from the source. When it gets to areas this far away from the beam, it is not looking at the surface because, and I don't know if this is a controversial comment or not, the Earth is round. And so because the Earth is round, as the beam goes straight out, it actually is no longer near the surface. It's actually in the higher parts of the atmosphere, and sometimes by several thousand feet. So with that said, when we're estimating the wind speeds, and this is really something, again, I apologize, I should have kind of pointed out and highlighted. When we look at the wind speeds on the estimates from radar, you're actually looking at wind speeds not directly at the surface. You're actually looking at wind speeds a little bit more aloft, especially when you're talking about when you're talking about that far of a distance away from the radar. So in fact, what we're looking at 122 miles an hour is probably a few thousand feet up. they're going to be far less
Yes.
as you get down toward the surface.
That is
So
a
it
fact.
Not, well, they just changed. It's not at 116. It is a bit lower than that. And even this is just a rough estimate. That 100-mile-per-hour wind that we see north of Galliano, it is definitely a bit less as you get down toward the surface. I kind of forgot that the Earth is round. But this is what we're looking at now. As you're closer to the radar beam, you're looking at more activity, winds, rain, whatever it is, a little bit closer to the surface. But as you get farther away, you're actually looking a little bit higher into the atmosphere. And so we're looking at more elevated wind speeds. That's not necessarily what is down at the ground level. And there is kind of an equation to almost determine what those wind speeds would be, but you do kind of reduce them a bit. So as a matter of fact, somebody at the discussion at the National Weather Service office is saying they're looking at right now in the Slidell area about 50 to 60 mile per hour winds across the Slidell area. Mandeville just had a wind gust of about 75 miles an hour. So folks on the North Shore are starting to now get into some of these really strong winds. The folks in Livingston have also been asking about the winds there, a little out of our viewing area, but for Livingston, the radar has been showing let's see. You know, so it's still fairly strong. So, you know, approaching 70 to 80 mile per hour. And again, it does look like those are the winds. And again, this is aloft. This is not down at the surface. So you kind of take that into consideration that it is going to be a little bit less, but very strong nonetheless. And this is what's moving directly and almost due north. So we are looking at kind of some strong winds that will likely spread more across parts of the metro area. Will likely be more or less around the Jefferson Parish area as opposed to the metro New Orleans, the city of New Orleans. And then as far as some of the strongest winds, it looks really to be in more of the northwestern quadrant. That's what's continuing to push across the river parishes and will move toward the Florida parishes, but also could move across Tangier Parish within the next. Timing this out has been a little bit more difficult, but let's see if we can kind of get a better idea to time this out for folks. Just looking at the center of the storm and when we could see some of these bands move your way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this animation and go to the latest image, and then we'll just get a very, very rough idea of where, let's say, this band that's kind of moving across the metro area right now. So assuming it is moving to the almost due north, and I can make sure that we're looking at about, let's actually, I'm going to change this, I'm going to redo it, and I'm going to get a more accurate estimate of when those rain bands that I'm talking about, what we're seeing over the city right now. So what I did was I told the computer to estimate a movement of about 10 miles an hour and kind of looking at this curvature of the storms. Let's get that, drawing it there, moving it north. Am I drawing it at all? Let's see here. Draw it like this, okay. And then, oop, and that's not what I wanted to do. This is all real time, folks. Isn't this exciting?
Well, at least he doesn't have audio issues.
I'm also trying to look at a tinier computer screen. Okay, here we go. Now I got it. All right. Let's see. That, and kind of pan that up. So the band of heavy rainfall that we have over the metro area, and kind of giving a very, very rough idea, assuming it will continue moving almost due north at around 10 miles an hour. This is when we could see some of the more intense rain moving across, say, Lake Maurepas at about 7:20. So in roughly about an hour, you're looking at Slidell. Now, you've already got heavy rainfall in the Slidell area, but I'm looking at kind of some of the storms that are down on the South Shore and when they would arrive into the Slidell area. This is also getting an idea of when some of those storms are making their way a little bit farther to the north. In Amite may not really get there until about 10:30 tonight. Tangier, as you go farther north, about 11. Now, Bogalusa, you're going to stay away from some of the strongest of the winds. That's going to be more so into Tangier Parish as you go up toward into Mississippi. And speaking of Mississippi, really may not reach Macomb until after 2 a.m. So this is, again, just kind of a rough idea of this leading edge of the heavy rainfall that is right now over the metro area that will continue pushing up to the north. And this is where we're also finding some of these stronger winds, not the strongest, but some of the stronger winds as they continue moving in that direction. Something we wanted to talk about, we were discussing a little bit ago, and I did tweak some of the graphics here, was the reason that the storm did kind of slow down a bit. Here's what's going on in the upper upper atmosphere. This is the upper high that had been parked a little bit more right over the east coast, and that had been moving the storm at about 16 miles an hour, right? Remember, for the last couple of days, right toward the Louisiana coastline. Well, that high is starting to leave. It's weakening and pushing away from the coast, and what we're waiting on is an upper trough that is deepening from the north. As the upper high leaves, it loses that motion to turn the storm to the north. And actually, we're kind of on now the northwestern periphery of this high, which is why the storm is beginning that turn toward the north. But we're waiting for this upper trough. That will be deepening overnight tonight, but as it arrives early tomorrow, that's when we really should start to see a bit more of a fast motion, or a faster motion, up toward the north and east, because this upper trough is going to pick up Ida and move it finally away from us. So we are still looking at, during the midday and afternoon hours tomorrow, to begin those improving conditions. It's just, we will likely have another few hours of some more of the rough weather to continue. And a lot of that, especially for most of the area, and I'm not talking about down along the coastline, most of that is from the extreme wind. And that extreme wind warning, as we discussed, it's almost to consider it a large tornado warning. You would not want to go out and walk around. And obviously, I don't think you'd be wanting to walk around in any of this, but the area that you see highlighted in purple is basically just to the east of the storm center, and where we're likely to see some of the strongest winds gusting, and the possibility of them reaching over 115 miles an hour. So this is where you need to use extreme caution, and we will continue to see very strong winds over, unfortunately, the next few hours, because the storm itself is just not moving. Here's what some of the winds are doing around the city. Now, again, these are not officially national. Is certainly looking at about 71 mile per hour wind gusts. So it is still ripping outside right now, and that, unfortunately,
other units are going to use their portable because their unit radio is not working. It's not picking up.
56, 46, and gusting up to 71 at Lakefront Airport. They've been gusting to 60 miles per hour at Slidell, and this may be another. Okay, they're about to issue a tornado warning for St. Tammany, St. Bernard, and Hancock. So let's take a look at that right now. So this is for St. Tammany, Hancock, and St. Bernard. Again, sometimes it's almost impossible to find it on radar, so we have shear markers that will allow us to see where the storm is. And I'm going to switch over to velocities, and this will give us an idea of where this rotation may be within the storm. So if this is for
Take about 211 Jack Street, 211 Jack Street. Have a fire alarm at the residence. Time out 1824.
Here, if it's for St. Bernard, and then for Hancock, and then St. Tammany Parish, I'm wondering if maybe they're looking at this little feature right in through here. It doesn't really jump out at me, but I'm kind of waiting for the warning to actually be issued. The folks at the National Weather Service office are incredible. They usually will give us kind of a heads up as to what their thinking is. Right now, they're saying a new tornado warning will be coming out. And again, these are a little more populated areas. As a matter of fact, we did have confirmation of a weak tornado with some debris on the ground from the Biloxi news station. WLOX had reported that they were seeing some debris. So we have at least tornadoes that were warned along southern Mississippi. Oh goodness. They're actually saying in the National Weather Service office in Slidell, this band of where the warning is about to be issued could come close to our office, and they may have to take cover. It is a second circulation that they're a little more concerned about. So let's see if the warning actually comes out, and then it'll appear on our graphic. But it kind of looks like it's in either here, trying to figure out exactly where, and then kind of moving in this direction, that it might, in that trajectory, take it over the Slidell office. We certainly hope that is not the case. Okay, so there's the warning, and the warning was just issued. So, okay, yeah, so it's that little rotation that we've seen here, and kind of tracking that along. It would take it maybe not as much into Hancock County, but certainly into the Slidell, Pearlington area, and moving in the direction. So right now we do find the folks in the National Weather Service office in Slidell under a tornado warning, and as they've said, it looks like there may be actually two little circulations that they're highlighting and discussing. And I'm just going to read what their text says. It's for eastern St. Bernard, northeastern, it actually does include part of Orleans Parish, southeastern St. Tammany, and southwestern Hancock. Get this, the storm itself is a storm capable of producing a tornado, located, it's kind of along that whole line from near Lake Catherine to about 10 miles northeast of Shell Beach, and it is moving at 70 miles per hour. It is booking it. So that is a very fast moving storm. And again, what they're saying is it's kind of within this entire rain band. So I'm going to switch back over to the reflectivity and show you it's kind of within this whole band of rain that they're kind of seeing several little areas of rotation, and so they're warning for this part of St. Bernard. Again, you're kind of more in the Biloxi Marsh, so it doesn't affect too many folks. It does include a small portion of New Orleans East, all outside the levee system, so I'm hoping that there are no folks that are left there. But then also into St. Tammany Parish, and as I just said, it does include the National Weather Service office. So if we do see some rotation and indeed a tornado, it could potentially go right past the airport in Slidell and the National Weather Service office at Slidell. So let's switch back over to velocities. And again, what we're looking at on velocities are the winds. And these are the winds that move toward and away from the radar. And what you're looking at is kind of the greens to the blues to greens. And this is, again, why I was saying it's a little more difficult to find those in a tropical system, because overall, these winds are all moving toward the radar. It's where you have to find they're a little bit weaker and stronger, and that usually is indicating where there is enough of a rotation that would warrant a warning to be issued. And also looks like there may be a little something right here too. So it might be this, and they had mentioned that there were two little circulations. So this may actually develop a water spout that would be more, possibly if it kind of follows that trajectory, possibly over toward the Weather Service office. And then this one, again, kind of following that same trajectory, also up toward the National Weather Service office. And they even mentioned that if it does look indeed that it is something that holds together for the duration, that they may have to take shelter in their own building. I know most National Weather Service offices will have a safe room that they can get to. So timing this out, again, it's moving at 70 miles an hour. Not often do you see a tornado warning that the storm is moving at 70 miles an hour. It'd be nice if we could get Ida to move out at about 70 miles an hour. So the storms, and they're calling them dangerous, will be Lake Catherine around now, 6:30, the Slidell area about 5 minutes later, and then if it does hold together, you're looking at Pearl River around 6:50, and then 6:55 for Pearlington. So the Slidell Airport and the National Weather Service office are within this warned area. This is where we're talking. This is a little rotation here, and I even mentioned it almost looked like there was a little rotation here, and they're mentioning the fact that this entire line almost seems to show several little areas of rotation that could easily produce and spawn a water spout. So those are the areas that we're going to be watching very closely. So for folks in Slidell, Pearlington, Pearl River, this is when you need to get to a safe place immediately. And I'm guessing a lot of folks may have decided to stay there as you were a little more out of the woods. I know as we kind of went into Mississippi, if you were away from the coastline, it looked like this was never going to be a real detrimental storm for you. And so I think a lot of folks did stay along the Mississippi coast, and maybe even if you were maybe perhaps north of 12 in Slidell or north of 10, you might have had a better go at it. But definitely as we keep getting new images here, it kind of keeps changing a little bit, but they are still showing up. This little rotation is still showing up. And again, if this does hold, we may be looking at a tornado passing across parts of Slidell. As I mentioned, this is moving at 70 miles an hour. You just don't see a storm moving that fast. Remember the ones we were tracking earlier in the day around coastal Mississippi? It was about 50 miles an hour. Well, now we're looking at one moving at 70 miles an hour. So the storm itself, or I should say the line of storms themselves, extend from more the Biloxi Marsh. It does include, notice, a part of New Orleans, Orleans Parish. And then as you get toward Hancock County, if that storm does kind of follow that trajectory, might just kind of clip Jackson Landing and then move back into St. Tammany Parish. But we do find that the National Weather Service office is kind of under the gun with this warning, as they are kind of within the path of how these bands have been setting up and moving. So if this again does hold together, it would likely stay. So for areas that are okay at the moment, this looks like it would stay to the north of Lacombe. And if it did hold together, perhaps we would have to include Mandeville in a later warning. But right now it is for Slidell, then Pearl River, and Pearlington, and then pretty much for the Biloxi Marsh, and only just clips the eastern part of Orleans Parish. We're going to continue to watch this, as again a lot of folks in Slidell really under this warning at the moment. So again, for folks in Slidell, you need to seek shelter immediately. It looks like there may be a broad rotation near Pearlington, but it looked more like this is the one that they are talking about as far as the main rotation that they're keeping an eye on. It looks like it's this one right here. So at the moment, it may be more or less a water spout as it's over the Biloxi Marsh, but if this rotation does hold together, then we could see it moving on land in southeast. At about 70 miles an hour, so we'll keep a close watch of this. Switching back over to the reflectivity, you really don't find. Now, it is actually kind of within a more intense storm at the moment.
Wind was still really blowing there hard. Ridiculous.
Northwest at 70 miles an hour, which you just do not see within these storms. As it's over the more marsh areas at the moment, we'll get back to it and just continue to watch that area closely. Again, for folks in Slidell, and if you're in around the Pearlington area, more extreme western Hancock County, you need to seek shelter immediately, as it does look like there is a tornado coming your way. What is now a waterspout then will become a tornado. So we'll look at that closely, as right now more over the marsh. We'll kind of focus on that a bit more in just a moment, but also want to show you again the satellite or the radar imagery. I'm going to go to the last 2 hours to see what the trend has been on Hurricane Ida, and I'm going to put this into motion. And again, we like to see at least some motion, albeit slow, but we want to see some. And it is definitely moving now away from Houma. So for folks in Houma, they stayed. It does look like conditions will soon begin to improve, because you are still, and notice the eye wall, the eye walls that we had when it made landfall, and even several hours after that. So it does look like the storm is finally starting to weaken a bit. We're going to continue to see that very well-defined center as the circulation came on shore with very strong, well-developed structure. So that's going to take a while to actually disappear. But as far as the intensity goes, the winds, the maximum winds, the pressure, maximum winds will be coming down, the pressure will be coming up. So all good news. And actually the heavy rain that we're undergoing right now, at least as you kind of watch this, there is definitely a motion. So the good news is it is not stalled. It did slow down, yes, but it did not stall. It has been a little bit slower to go north, and almost due north at this point. Notice that we have the heaviest of the rainfall still moving over the city. Even at this trajectory, that moisture is still being surged and fed in from the Gulf of Mexico. So we are not going to be done with the rain, unfortunately, anytime soon. Now, we've been looking at the rainfall totals, and thankfully they have not been very substantial, but at least what we have seen so far.
Walk at radio Wisconsin and 30 minutes of yellow with on-air traffic.
If you have a situation when you try to transmit and it makes big noise, just fucking just switch straight to Zillow.
By the way, I went into my unit and there is a leak in the roof. Right near the bed. Luckily, it's not over the bed. Small leak, not anything major. There's a puddle up. 2-foot puddle that was just laying there, and there was nothing else leaking, so must have been temporary when it got really windy. Still winds here gusting around 45.
Good. So you just like 1019, please. Just gotta get my 95 call about the office. Yeah, well, I'm checking on something in Country Club. I have that wrong in it.
By the way, this was a well-developed hurricane when it came on shore. No bat luck this time.
A call from Amber Metrodine on Freeman Street advising of a meter box that fell off the house. But she didn't give me an address. Can you pass down in that area and see if you can see anything? That's all.
How fast those clouds are moving. All right, scanner is relatively quiet. Let's go back to
between say Ocean Springs and out toward Alabama, where the rainfall is a bit less, but the breaks are really few and far between with regards to no rain or heavy rain. And that really hasn't been the case. It's either lighter rain or heavy rain all the way up to the center of the storm. And what we're seeing in New Orleans is some of the heaviest. And thankfully, so far, the accumulations of rainfall have not been terrible. And it is, so far, something that we can handle. I know just stepping out of North Rampart Street a little while ago, a little bit of puddling here and there, but really it's almost hard to get a judge to judge just how bad the rainfall accumulation is, because it really isn't accumulating in too many folks, because we have such a wind-driven rain event in the area that it has not really accumulated a great deal in the city. So good or bad, we haven't so far had any reports of significant street flooding or anything like that. So we're going to continue to monitor this tornado warning. Here we go. Now our color scheme is back. We can kind of get a better idea. It does look like this is what the National Weather Service has been discussing. So it's still not quite into St. Tammany Parish, but it is moving in that direction. So looks like for maybe around Jackson Landing in Hancock County, but that if this does move inland, it would probably stay north of the Wrigley's or northeast of the Wrigley's, Eden Isles, as that would continue on towards Slidell. But Burlington and Pearl River are all under the trajectory of this line, or of this band of storms, as it moves generally toward the northwest. And as I mentioned, moving northwest at about 60 miles per hour. So at the moment, it looks like this is sitting over water. So this could indeed be a water spout. And if it is a water spout, sometimes they do weaken on the interaction with land. But in a tropical situation, with the fact that it's moving at 60 miles an hour, it may hold together and produce some damage. Now, as we've also been discussing, we're going to see several of these warnings continue through the overnight and into the early morning hours. We're going to have several warnings, many of which... ways that we determine and verify tornadoes is by going out and assessing the damage. Well, that's going to be really difficult to do when you've got winds gusting up over 80 miles an hour and heavy rainfall.
12. It's also a C-19 location. What? That's a C-19 location. PPE. We got contact.
Path right towards Slidell, and then eventually. Okay. Marcelino, can you hear me?
In the Slidell Police Department headquarters right now, doing exactly what you are telling us to do. And I can tell you, we've been here for several hours, and just the noises we're hearing inside this building is unlike anything we've heard the entire day. The rain is falling harder, the wind's beating up against that door behind me, incredibly loud. We were set to go live just 5-10 minutes ago out front. When we got that tornado warning, we heard the warnings that you were giving from the station, and we decided to come on in. So right now we're in a windowless hallway here, again at police headquarters. We're going to come on into this room. This is where we've sort of been hunkered down anytime we've had these types of warnings. No windows. You see a safe spot for us to be as we wait to see what this possible tornado might do and if it comes towards this area. I can also tell you anecdotally, we about half an hour ago we actually ventured out. Things got too bad 3 or 4 blocks away from here, because we got word from Slidell Police.
337-241-9574. 337-241-9574. Couldn't get them on the phone. Just let them know that we checked the building, and one of the doors was blown open. It's locked, so apparently it just got blown in by the wind, maybe. But we closed it. Appears to be secure for now, and there's a bunch of stuff inside the building, so it doesn't look like it appears to be anything missing.
One of those times, especially during this tornado warning, we saw a couple police officers shortly before our phones buzzed with that warning. Safety first to see what this does. But again, I want to reiterate, it's really important for anyone out there watching in their homes. If you're in the Slidell area like we are, take this seriously, do the right thing, do the safe thing, and just hunker down in a building, in a building that has no windows, so you can be as safe as possible until this threat passes.
I appreciate the report. Thank you so much. And yes, stay safe. And just kind of going back, and
I'll be on portable all night monitoring, so if y'all need, just call. But I'll be available all night.
Marsh across St. Catherine, or excuse me, Lake Bourne, and then moving right now. It looks like it's just moving onshore. So a water spout, but moving at about 60 miles an hour. And again, it's fairly easy to follow the trajectory, as you just have to look at the bands of rain and put this into motion, and then you.
Yeah, the stream just went dead.
Which would be incredible if this does indeed hold on the ground. So that's the folks in the National Weather Service office and the Slidell Airport right now, and also a highly populated area in Slidell, as it would kind of pass north of the 10, 12, 59 split, and then continue on toward the airport and into the National Weather Service office itself. Switching back over the velocities, again, what we're looking at is, and the color table changed on me again. Well, it's this little couplet right here where it says Jackson Landing. It looks like it, for the most part, stayed in St. Tammany Parish. Doesn't look like it went into Mississippi. So it looks like the path of it is keeping it more in Louisiana as that continues into St. Tammany Parish. And again, if you just follow that trajectory, it does look like it would eventually move toward the Slidell radar. So this is a dangerous situation. This is one of the healthier couplets, as we call them. This is one of the healthier ones that we've seen so far with this storm, as it's really approaching the Slidell radar. And praying, of course, as always, that this is not a tornado.
But be on Fairview Drive at Donald Knight's residence. I'll show the address, but I'll pull up at the fire department, and I'm going to let them know so they can be en route. Find out who's on call with the town, who's en route in case the gas leak. 28 Marty's been out already. So he knows the address, or he knows where the guy lives. Right next to Mr. E.J. Hardaway on Ferry.
Storms were moving at about 50 miles per hour.
What's the guy's
This
name?
one is moving at one time 70 miles per hour.
E.J. Hardaway.
It's now at 60 miles per hour.
I'm sorry, it's Donald Knight.
You know, I tell
Right
you what,
next to
looking
E.J.
at it
Hardaway.
now, as it kind of
So it's,
interacts a little
not
bit
the
more
house
with
on the corner of
land,
Crenshaw and Fairview, but
if
the
it
one
was
to
indeed,
the right.
well, it's still showing up. So, again, we're looking right here. And one of the ways that the National Weather Service will kind of determine a tornado, if it's verifiable or viable or not, we'll kind of wait for several passes. And if you continue to see this little couplet close together like this after several passes, that usually indicates that there is certainly rotation, might have reached the ground, and so why not go and warn for it. Something else to point out, as I was talking about, the curvature of the earth. Now that we see this much closer to the National Weather Service office radar, this is being sampled.
I hear a generator cranked. I'm wondering if the power's still on here.
Jersey 603 Fairview, according to Google Maps. I'll let the guys at the fire department know they're going to be around as well.
Reason that it is probably a tornado that is now to the south of Pearlington and moving in the direction of the Slidell Airport and National Weather Service office radar. Folks in Slidell probably know exactly where the Weather Service office is at, that big soccer ball.
All right, folks.
Dome
Um,
over the radar.
I'm going to get back in my room and monitor the news. If anything pops, I will try to share it on the stream of any importance, just for archive purposes. And again, tomorrow morning I'll be out doing some survey and pick up the camera if I can and get out of Dodge. So I'm going to terminate it for now. And again, I'll make an archive out of all this when it's over.